We start this hour with a live look outside, mile high there in the center of your screen. A quiet start to your Tuesday morning. We do know this much. Smoke from wildfires in the Pacific Northwest and Utah rolling through Colorado this morning, so air quality will be an issue today. But temperature-wise, we're definitely getting a break.
And the Colorado Department of Public Health has issued multiple pollutants action days. You just heard from Drew. And this alert is for the metro area and the northern Front Range. This is because the air quality is now unhealthy for sensitive groups. Officials say you should limit how much time that you're outside, avoid exercising outside to not endure long-term health effects. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on this Tuesday. I'm Sam Shocker.
And I'm Drew Carney. Before we get to Katie's Tuesday forecast, we do want to check in with 9 News reporter Courtney. She's covering the impact of yesterday's weather on flights at the airport. Courtney, several planes we know were diverted to Colorado Springs, and we also found out that one person was sent to the hospital.
Yes, that's right, Drew and Sam. That person is expected to be okay, and 4 others were actually treated at the scene as well in Colorado Springs. Take a look. So first responders were called after several passengers reported significant turbulence and medical concerns. 22 planes were diverted from Denver International Airport to Colorado Springs Airport due to severe weather in the Denver area. The first aircraft was diverted around 4:40 p.m. yesterday, and the last one was around 8 p.m. Passengers say they're relieved now that it's all over.
I was relieved. Honestly, I'm tired. I'm ready to go home. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of worse things that could happen. So safe on a plane with my family.
All of the diverted flights have since left Colorado Springs, and there are no more expected updates. Live in Denver, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
Courtney, thank you. Yesterday afternoon and evening, we were tracking some strong gusty storms, and today we do have the chance for a few in the forecast, but the main weather headline, it's not going to be nearly as hot. This morning at 63 degrees in our backyard, the winds have calmed, at least downtown, but air quality, as we mentioned at the top of the hour, we have air quality alerts and concerns in place, not just for the Denver area to Pueblo, but all across our northern mountains and northwestern Colorado. For today, we're watching smoke billowing in from out-of-state wildfires, particularly the Pacific Northwest and Utah, and you can see through the afternoon it'll be dense and patchy at times. We get a little break here and there this time tomorrow morning, but I do expect to see air quality concerns through at least tomorrow before the winds really shift. Temperature-wise, we're right now at 54 degrees out at Denver International Airport. Still, if you head into the mountains, it's going to be warmer than average, but at least across the Front Range, you can see our 24-hour temperature change. It's significant, 23 degrees cooler right now, and our highs today, you can see it's not going to be nearly as toasty. By 11 a.m., 67 degrees, pretty pleasant. We'll be in the upper 70s later on today. As mentioned, we do have the chance for a few storms here and there, specifically over southern Colorado. And your weather headlines for today, fire danger, something we'll be discussing in the mountains as well in the coming afternoons. But Brianna, how are things on the roads right now at 5:03?
A live look right now of I-25 and I-70. No issues to report for your Tuesday morning. I'm skipping ahead and was going to say Wednesday. So right now, not seeing any issues when it comes to I-25 and I-70, as you can see it right now from the CDOT camera. So we're not tracking any crashes or closures here in the metro area, but I want to switch things over to our main map. So you can see that our major interstates, I-25, 225, as well as I-70 west and eastbound lanes, you have the green light there. Up in the Greeley area, we've been seeing a closure that's been going on for about 3 hours. And according to Colorado State Patrol, this is all happening along Weld County Road 66 and Weld County Road 43. So if you're in the Greeley area and this is part of your morning drive, please keep this in mind. Right now, that area is closed for a crash investigation. I actually just sent out an email to Colorado State Patrol. We're also making some calls. Once we have more information, we'll keep you guys updated both on air as well as online.
All right, thanks, Brianna. Meanwhile, a 4th person has died a little more than a week after a crash in northern Colorado. The Weld County Coroner's Office says 20-year-old Roman Parra died early yesterday morning at a hospital in Greeley. The crash happened on July 25th. Parra was the driver when the car crashed in Eaton. Everyone inside was ejected when it rolled over. 3 passengers died at the scene. The one surviving passenger is a 19-year-old from Eaton who suffered only minor injuries.
CPW says a man's body was pulled out of the water at the privately owned Monument Lake Resort in Los Animas County. The agency responded to some kind of situation involving a pontoon boat yesterday morning. About 6 hours into the search, they recovered the man's body. 2 other adults and a minor who were also on the boat were taken to the hospital. It is not clear how serious their injuries are or what exactly happened on that boat.
A man has been charged after a motorcycle crash in San Juan County left another man dead. State Patrol says this happened Friday afternoon on Highway 550 just south of Silverton. State troopers say a red motorcycle was heading southbound when it crossed the center line and hit a black motorcycle going in the other direction. The rider of the black Harley, a 53-year-old man from Farmington, New Mexico, died at the scene. The rider of the red Harley, 73-year-old Roy Selensky from Baytown, Texas, was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Yesterday, we learned that Selensky has been charged with careless driving, causing death in relation to the crash.
A significant update in a criminal case dating back to 2020. The man accused of setting off an explosion inside of a Longmont hotel room during a standoff has pleaded guilty to arson. That is according to the Boulder County District Attorney's Office. The case against Leon Gladwell has been held up for years because of legal issues and questions about competency. The case dates back to September of 2020, when Gladwell had recently been released on parole after serving time for murder. Prosecutors say a therapist reached out to police, telling them that the man wanted to hurt himself and others. He was staying at a hotel and holed up there when police tried to get in touch. There was an explosion in that room, and eventually investigators say he threw stuff out of a blown-out window. An officer shot him, and he was taken into custody. He'll be sentenced in October, and he faces up to 32 years in prison.
Today is that first step in what they've been hoping for, which is accountability, which is in our society. When you kill someone, and especially when you commit it without justification, you should be held criminally liable.
An Aurora police officer is facing murder and manslaughter charges in the shooting death of a 37-year-old man nearly a year ago. Yesterday, we learned a grand jury indicted Officer Matthew Neely for the killing of Rajon Belt Stubblefield. Because of this, the case is renewing questions about police accountability in Aurora, where the city and police department have spent the last several years under a consent decree. That agreement stems from the 2019 death of Elijah McLean after an encounter with police officers and fire rescue paramedics. An investigation by the state attorney general led to the consent decree in 2022. It required that the city and police department change how officers use force and interact with people of color. The independent monitor overseeing that agreement says the department has made progress by updating policies and also training to improve accountability and transparency. But he also says there is still more work that needs to be done.
We ask that the city go further and convene a task force, if you will, relative to determining whether or not the behavioral health system in Aurora is operating as well as it possibly can.
Aurora's consent decree is scheduled to end in February.
A street takeover near Broadway in Mississippi last weekend is raising some new questions on how police respond to situations like this. Neighbors say the chaos began at around 11:45 Friday night with cars doing donuts, fireworks going off, and a fire set in the roadway, with a crowd of about 300 people watching. One neighbor says a car hit a bystander and then fled the scene. Denver police say officers arrived about 18 minutes after its first report, but made no arrests. They plan to try to enforce the law through the city's nuisance abatement ordinance.
The officers would pull over the vehicle, the driver. They would be cited or arrested for street racing or a speed exhibition, and their vehicle will be impounded. And then DPD works with the city attorney's office to take a civil action against the vehicle, and then the owner has to work with the city and go through the courts to try to get their vehicle back.
Police say the city can still pursue a civil nuisance case against any vehicle identified through video, impounding it for weeks or months. Councilwoman Flor Alvarez, who represents the area, wants more traffic enforcement staffed on weekend nights.
The Colorado Bureau of Investigation processed a record number of firearm background checks last month, all before a new state law went into effect on Saturday. The law was passed last year, but again, just took effect on August the 1st. It places new requirements on the purchase of many semi-automatic rifles, shotguns, and pistols, specifically ones with detachable magazines. Anyone who plans to buy one has to go through a multi-step process, which includes applying through the state's firearms safety system. CBI says it processed nearly 60,000 background checks in July. They say that's about 40,000 more than were done during the same period last year. The agency says it trained 20 workers to help handle the frenzy.
The last 2 weeks of this surge, it was like Black Friday every day. And that was really significant. And even with that kind of volume, our team got those processed so that no one was negatively affected.
CBI did confirm that every background check was completed within Colorado's mandatory 72-hour waiting period.
25 states, including Colorado, are suing the Trump administration over its latest tariffs. The states call the tariffs a pretext for replacing import taxes that the Supreme Court struck down back in February. The lawsuit asks the court to block and overturn the tariffs and refund duties paid by the states. Last month, the United States imposed double-digit tariffs on 59 countries and the European Union, arguing they had not done enough to crack down on imports produced by forced labor. The new tariffs took effect just as the clock ran out on temporary tariffs that President Trump had turned to after the Supreme Court defeat.